guys, Sierra with All for Them here. Just wanted to give you guys a couple pointers on how to hold your leash when you're working with your dogs. So one of the most important things to understand as a handler, something that you can do to help your dog out, is not only understand how to hold your leash appropriately, but also make your leash movements really fluid, and also come up with a system that's consistent. As you guys, if you guys have worked with me, you guys hear all the time that dogs are patterned animals. The more consistent we can bring something to them, the better they pick up on it, the easier it is for them to reproduce later on. So one of the things we can do to make consistent results on their end is to make sure that we hold the leash the same way every time we work with them, whether that's through walking or when we're training with them. And one of my favorite things to start with is a two-hand leash hold. And that's because it really gives the handler the most control over working with their dog when they are on leash. So to do this, I generally say I take my dominant hand, and that will be my anchor hand. This is gonna be the hand that no matter what is always gonna stay on the leash. Even if I decide to give my dog a little bit more length of the leash and a little bit more loose leash freedom, this hand is always going to stay on there. Now what I wanna do is take up any of that excess leash, which is going to be different for all types of dogs depending on the size of the dog. So your taller dogs are probably gonna have a lot more slack in the line, whereas your smaller dogs are gonna have a lot less. So I like to take my excess leash, kind of drape it over my pointer finger, and then I'm gonna take all of this excess leash and put it together and make a fist. Now this provides a nice leash lock, so that way when your dog does pull or sees something, your fingers and hands are nice and safe. And take it from me, I've fractured the tip of a finger before from a really terrible leash hand hold, and it still affects me to this day. So definitely make sure that you're protecting your hands and your fingers when you're working with your dogs. So now that I have a nice, safe leash hold on all that excess, I can move my fine-tuning hand and kind of get that all the way down onto close to my buckle, and bring my hands to my side. We have a tendency to kind of do this when we're stressed out and our dogs are moving, and it just adds more tension to the entire walk. It adds more tension to you, your body language, which also kind of signals to your dog that we should kind of be tense and maybe start jumping on or biting at the leash, and kind of just adds more stress than anything else. So make sure that you're trying to be as stress-free as possible when on the walk. Having a two-hand hold will definitely help you feel a little more stress-free. So when you have that excess leash, you're going to make sure that there's a really nice soft J connected. So this is obviously going to be connected to your dog, and this part is going to be in your left hand or your right hand. We want to make sure that wherever your dog is, that when they are walking on leash, this is what the leash looks like, or even like this. If the leash looks like this the whole time, your dog is just learning the opposite of what we generally teach, which is pressure on and pressure release. If your dog is always walking like this, that means your dog is always walking with some sort of amount of pressure on them. And really, they're not learning anything from it. They're just learning that this is how they move forward. So what we wanted to make sure to do is that our dog's leashes are always nice and kind of got that soft J hook in it. And when we need to add pressure, we can add leash pressure, either consistent leash pressure, or we can add leash pops. And that's when you'll start seeing that leash and collar kind of tense on. But outside of that, you really want it nice and soft. So again, depending on where your dog lands next to you, you want to have all the excess leash kind of wrapped up, not wrapped, but held nicely in your fist. Your fine-tuning hand is going to hold on to the excess leash here. And as your dog pulls, you can either add those last 3 fingers and then add leash pressure back to kind of communicate that leash pressure of we're not pulling forward, or you can go into your other type of leash exercises, your S turns, your back step and turns, your 180 turns. Again, using and holding the leash the exact same way, so that way you can execute your exercises the exact same way, so that way your dogs can pick up on what to do during every type of scenario the exact same way that you've practiced it. So I hope that helps.